So the reason that I've called this speech Australian Story is because when I was asked to speak about myself for 4 to 6 minutes, I realised that I'm not a great candidate for Australian Idol for 2 reasons. One, I couldn't make it into the grade 6 choir singing Happy Birthday. They told me to come back next year. So I realised that education was key for me. So that's half of it. The other half was that today, as I was thinking about this presentation, I don't have a good enough backstory to be on Australian Idol. I don't have childhood trauma. I had a delightfully happy, educated childhood with no serious injuries or abuse or neglect and just downtrodden related things. So I'm not a candidate for Australian Idol. So it made me think very deeply about my life and what I would actually say about myself for 4 to 6 minutes, because on every level, my life has not been extraordinary. It's been utterly ordinary in many, many moments. And yet when I think about the ordinary parts and where I am today, compared to where I have spent the majority of my life in blissful, ordinary moments, is that I genuinely feel like today is the best part of my life so far. That this is the best that it's been. But I don't think that this is the best it's going to be. I'm excited about what's coming. Like, that's where it's sort of heading for me. And while I'm not going to make it on Australian Idol, there are a couple of defining moments for me that got me thinking about life quite differently. And like for many people, one of those was a serious injury. I ruptured 2 discs. It's not Australian Idol worthy, but it was pretty significant for me, given that I was eating, Class A drugs like popcorn for many, many years. And it turned my life upside down. And all of these things that I had been planning to do, tomorrow, I'm going to get skinny, happy, fit, healthy, fabulous, tomorrow, I'll do the public speaking, tomorrow, I'll do the triathlon, tomorrow. Tomorrow came at a point not of my choosing, and all of a sudden I couldn't do any of that because I was too busy eating popcorn, tablets. And my GP was calling Canberra because I was on some select list of people that was eating their way through the list of tablets that you shouldn't be eating your way through. So when I hurt myself, it took me a while to get out of the medication haze, but after I did that, I wrote a bucket list, and I brought that bucket list because I wrote that bucket list in 2014, because I thought, no, this is rubbish. I'm not up for this quality of life. I'm not accepting this. This is shit. I'm doing a different version. So I wrote a bucket list, and it was, as you'll hear, pretty deep. So it included things like learn Beyonce's Single Ladies Dance.
Were you still on the medication?
I may have been. Gangnam Style was also on this. I was really like, this is deep stuff. I put judge less, which I failed abysmally, but are points for writing it down. I mean, come on. I had things like do a triathlon, run or ride into the city, take my dog to obedience classes, nurse animals, do volunteer work in palliative care. And it just there's all sorts of other things which are equally shallow on here. But when I look back at this, it just makes me smile because it was the start of a really exciting journey for me. And in that time, I've pretty much done all of this and 10 times more because I made the decision to be different. And the ordinary moments became extraordinary, not because they were fundamentally different, but because I took a different view about them and just decided that, as the saying goes, I'm done with mindfulness, so I'm just going to start paying attention. I'm going to remember that I ate my breakfast and actually remember what the cornflakes tasted like instead of getting to work and forgetting that I had even eaten breakfast. So there's just been a shift for me. It's not been an extraordinary life. There were pivot points, and the injury was one of them. Saying yes was another for me, where I just decided no matter how afraid I was, I would count to 3 and I would say yes, and that was the only acceptable answer. And it has taken me into some weird and wonderful places that I never would have accessed had I not forced myself to say yes. And it leads me to why I'm here, because while it's not a bucket list, I made a vision board in January and Toastmasters got on it. So that meant I had to show up. So I am still waiting to have a body ready to be Brazilian Samba ready, but I have actually joined. In fact, a Brazilian Samba troupe didn't exist on the Mornington Peninsula, so I made one. And while you won't find me in a toothpick bikini, I will be capable of doing this in another month. So don't let no stop you. The best is yet to come. And I think that my life philosophy is there is no prize at the end. This is the prize. You're living in the prize. So enjoy it, and thank you.